Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Today I want to talk about something that should be of interest to everybody, and that is your prosecuting attorney. And I want to frame a little bit of this in terms of what's happening in certain cities. So more on that in just a moment. In several cities out on the West Coast, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, and in one city right in the heartland in St. Louis, there is a little bit of a revolution going on in terms of prosecutors. And that revolution is basically that they are deciding to abandon entire areas of law in favor of using their discretion to prosecute only those offenses and only those individuals that they deem to be worthy of prosecution. So let's talk a little bit about that. Now, when the police go out and arrest somebody, the prosecutor does not have to file charges. The police department presents the evidence and the information to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor makes a decision, with his discretion, to either charge the offense or not charge the offense. Well, when would somebody typically not charge an offense? Well, one of those situations might be where the arresting officer is the only person who witnessed the alleged crime, and the arresting officer may have some problem with his credibility. Recently, in one of the southern states, about 15 to 20 cases were dismissed because a deputy was demonstrated to have lied on camera about certain things that he said occurred during a particular traffic stop. So the prosecutor, because he felt like his ability to tell the truth would be a pivotal issue, simply decided to drop the charges on the other people that he had arrested. When a prosecutor uses his discretion in that manner, I have no issue with that. Where I have an issue is where a prosecutor makes a determination that a certain type of crime is not going to be prosecuted. For example, stealing under $700. So, in essence, what this says is that if you run a Walgreens or a CVS pharmacy, and somebody comes in and grabs a case of Diet Coke and 5 bags of Twinkies and runs out with it, even if you call the cops, and even if the cops make an arrest, the prosecutor's not going to prosecute them. Now, I did a video on here recently about jury nullification, and the reason that lawyers can't argue for jury nullification is because it argues against the law. It basically asks a jury to not consider the fact that the law places certain requirements on an individual, and when someone doesn't meet those requirements, they have to pay the price. So what you have in that situation, when you have a prosecutor who says, I'm not going to prosecute any stealing offense that doesn't rise above $750, is you have the one prosecutor changing the law in that jurisdiction when he is not a member of the legislative branch. A prosecutor is a member of the executive branch. He executes the law. And as a result, he has no power to change the law. He has the power to exercise his discretion, but not in a blanket manner like that. A blanket discretion of not prosecuting certain offenses is effectively a change in the statute. And since it's not going to be evenly applied, in other words, a different standard applies in San Francisco than it does in San Clemente, for example, what you have is an uneven application of the law inside the state, which creates problems with due process and with the fundamental rights of both the people who have a right to be free from crime themselves as victims, as well as the right of individuals to be prosecuted for offenses that everybody else gets prosecuted for. In other words, if you're arrested for stealing, 2 6-packs of beer out of the Come and Go, but the guy who runs off with a used iPhone that's worth $700 but not $750, well, the person who's being prosecuted for that lower level offense does not have the even application of law. So I see that as a big problem. And it is even worse when people apply this discretion based on skin color. And there have been some allegations that certain prosecutors are applying this on the basis of skin color and on the basis of political affiliation. Now, whether or not those allegations are true, I don't know. I'm not called upon to sit in judgment of that. But what I do know is that in those states where these problems are occurring, there is a solution. There is a writ called quo warranto. That's Q-U-O warranto, W-A-R-R-A-N-T-O. And what quo warranto does is it challenges a person's right to hold public office. The state attorney general has a right to bring a quo warranto action against an office holder, particularly a state office holder, if they are not doing their job. And that's what should happen. Now, how does that happen? That happens by people like you and me writing to that attorney general and saying, hey, this isn't fair, this isn't right, it needs to be interdicted. So that's what I would recommend, that any of you who are in a state where the application of the laws is unjust and uneven, I would recommend that you write to your state attorney general and to your legislator. And if the attorney general decided to file a writ of quo warranto because they are not doing their job and not upholding the rights, the duties of their office, then again, that would fix the problem. So that's my take on prosecutors who don't do their job, who fail to protect the public. When you run for office as a prosecutor, you should be representing or prosecuting on behalf of the entirety of the community. A homeless person whose purse is stolen out of their shopping cart is every bit as much a victim as the woman who has her diamond ring stolen off of her hand at the 7-Eleven. Both of those crimes should be prosecuted, and they should be prosecuted with the same zeal as any other crime. When you don't do that, you demean the law. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this or found it thought-provoking, I'd appreciate it if you'd mash that like button. And also, if you'd run over here and click the subscribe icon and sign up to get notifications whenever we post a video on here, that would be terrific. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments down below, or questions. I'm happy to address questions that you ask. Sometimes that's where some of my best videos come from. Thank you very much for watching. Have a terrific day, and I'll catch you on here next time.